Hi, welcome to the next edition of Competitive Sweet List. Today I got 5 decks that I want to talk about, all of which have gotten 5-0s of recently. No challenges decks or no prelim decks, but we have 5. And I think actually 6, not 5. Sorry. But I think each one of these decks are interesting. We're going to start right out of the gate with a deck that I think is a little bit, has less unique cool cards in it from the new set. And then we're going to progress through to better, I think, sweeter ideas, more cards that are featuring, I think, what this new set can do for the format. If you like this series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification to work for future videos. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. We're about 40 subs out. Let's get there together and let's get into these deck lists and discuss. So first on my list is JSK Ascendency. We talked about this a few times on this series, and it occasionally does get a 5-0 result. The deck is playing the new Lava Spar Boots, which gives haste and ward 1. That's pretty much the only new card in the deck. And it really hasn't gained, like I said, it hasn't gained that many new pieces, but it's still a reasonably solid deck. Most of which does not feature cards from the last set. Yeah. So, like, it has been a couple sets since I got anything. But Lava Spar Boots makes a lot of sense because we do want our creatures to get haste. Like Ggary, when we're able to play it, or Rona, and immediately tap it and start comboing. So, that does make a lot of sense. We have this one Skrelv in the deck to protect our threat. It does make me kind of wonder why this deck doesn't play more. It's kind of weird that we also play one Torch the Tower for one little bit of removal. I guess it's an adjacent to the 4 Portable Holes main, but I wonder if that should just be another Skrelv. 2 Treasure Cruises, because it's really good. It draws cards. Sideboard, we do have Surge of Salvation. So instead of just playing Leyline of Sanctity, protect our hand, we also have Surge, which can protect our Ggary and our Ronas from removal spells, which is kind of helpful. So it's has two functionalities. We have 1 Alpine Moon for the Lotus Field matchup, 2 more Torches for aggro decks, 2 Bank Busters for midrange, 2 Disputes for control, 2 Flames for aggro, 1 Juref the Fleshright. It's a new card. I'm not sure what matchup this is for, but it is a pretty good combo-ish card, right? We should be able to make a tons of zombies with the JSK Ascendency instead of like something like Zahili, which I'm pretty sure used to be in the slot. 1 Get Lost for kind of a catch-all removal spell. Has enchantments and like Rest in Peace. Also can get hate cards that are enchantments, which makes it very valuable. That is our JSK Ascendency list. Let's get into the next list. Next is a Ggary midrange deck that got a 5-0 by Bolig. He is in my Discord. He's also in many of the other mid-range decks Discord. So if you're a mid-range player, you probably know this guy. So pretty reasonable. He got a 5-0. He's playing the brand new Hydra and the Bronco, which I could try Bronco in my new deck, in my Abzan mid-range deck this season. If you think that's a good choice, let me know down in the comment section. Over maybe something like Sit of the Rookie, Sharp-Eyed Rookie. But so those two are pretty good includes because Hydra is good at all parts of the curve. It has haste, it has trample and vigilance. And then we have Bronco, which gives card advantage with the Dread Knight. Other than that, we have Prowler for a little bit of graveyard heat. Also good discount our creatures. We have Thoughtseize, Fatal Push because they're just been our best interaction. Single Decay because it's just really good. It hits most of the problematic enchantments in the format. 1 Bitter Triumph, a Virtue for a late game piece. A few Sentinels. So sideboard, we do have 2 Duresses for the control and combo matchups. 2 Damping Spheres for Lotus Field. It's like 3 Pick Your Poisons for Vein Ripper. Also could hate on, pretty much any kind of flyer or enchantment artifact based. 1 Terra Sunder hates on artifacts and enchantments. Also has exile effect. 3 Extinction Event for aggro. 1 Culling Ritual for aggro. 2 Ashiok for graveyard heat. And a Sauron for grindy matchups. That is our Ggary mid-range pile. Let's get into the next. Next on my list is 4-color Incarnation. Now, I don't think this version has picked anything new. It's just nice to see it get a 5-0 again. It's kind of been put on the wayside for Nib Mizzet. So, for the most part, we have a pretty stationary deck that's been around for a while. The newest card I think in the deck is Buzz Crusher, which makes sense for Lotus Field. We kind of have hate cards like Frill back in the deck. We also have Ancient Treachery, which is really good right now. Portable Hole, pretty solid removal spell early with Chain of the Rocks. And we have our namesake card, Incarnation, Fable, up the Beanstalk path to get our lands. Omen to help set up. We have Fires of Invention to cast multiple spells. Binding is really amazing with Incarnation to get our 6 drops, which is the Troxa and I think just Agent and Treachery. So those are 2 5-drops. The deck does play Tolsimir for the aggro matchups. And it also has Elishnorn for the mirror match. Niv is pretty good across the board. Kenrith is more of our aggressive 5-drop. Then we have Deputy of Detention for heavy removal. Knight of Autumn, hate on artifacts and enchantments. Gain life against aggro. Then we have Skyclave. Kind of hates on most things that are 4 MV or less. But that is the main board. Sideboard, we have 2 Volleys for blue and white matchups. 2 Ashioks to prevent tutoring for the mirror. Also hates on Graveyard Hate. Is Graveyard Hate. We have 3 Dovin's Veto for control. 2 Disputes for control. Dovin's Veto is also pretty good against combo, like Lotus Field, countering the Ultimatum. Mystical Dispute also can work there, but they can pay that extra 3. 1 Archon of Emeria, also pretty good against Lotus Field and Contorius. 1 Radiant Flame for aggro with Supreme Verdict. 1 Quakebringer and Ferocidon. Since one's a 5-drop, one's a 3-drop. With stacking with Incarnation. So if you stack a 2-drop, like Path, we can get Ferocidon against Amalia. If you stack a 4-drop, you get Quakebringer against Amalia. So it gives us 2 hate spells on 2 parts of the curve, which really works well with Incarnation. So that's kind of why we have 1 of each instead of like 2 Ferocidons, even though it's technically more optimal. But with Incarnation having a 5-drop, the hate on Amalia makes a lot of sense. And also a 3-drop to hate on Amalia. So that is our 4-color Incarnation deck. Let's get into the next. Next is a deck that is one of my specialties, and that is Ggary Scape Shift. This deck, for some reason, has picked up Candy Trail. Interesting choice. It does come down. It does trigger your bargain. Plus, you can scry 2, which is quite powerful to dig for your Scape Shift or your Beseech the Mirror or your Splunking. 4 Pillage the Pod makes a lot of sense to help find your Splunking and Beseech to help combo. Now, this variant does play the Mastermind Acquisition combo to get the World Soul's Rage out of the board. I'm not sure if that is the most optimal build. For my particular build, I tried this season. It's going to be dropping, I think, this week or next week. I tried the desert lands, right? Because if you loop them, that is a win condition. You don't necessarily have to tutor for rage to win the game. So keep that in mind. Both modes could work. I definitely think 4 Pillages is correct. It's just the best new card from the new set for this deck. Besides that, we have Hidden Necropolis to keep putting either Scape Shift, Mastermind Acquisition, and Wilderness where is it? Oh, Splendid Reclamation at the bottom there. So the goal is to keep putting the Splendid Reclamation on top of your library. Then you get your Lotus Fields. You use Lotus Field to sack your lands. That way you can keep turning and looping. You basically keep 1 land. The Hidden is the only land that you don't sack. Potentially to the Lotus Fields. You do sack this Mystic Sanctuary. Echoing Deeps helps because it can become copies of extra Lotus Fields. So you could sack more lands and keep looping. But my thing is, I'm just not sure if I would keep 2 cabins. I honestly think it should be cutting 1 cabin for a desert land. That way you could have another win con without having to tutor for it. Sideboard, we do have 2 Duresses for combo and control. 2 Pick Your Poisons for artifact hate and enchantment hate, which are our primary hate against us. Also can get Vein Ripper. 1 Soul Guide Lantern for graveyard hate. 1 Grafdigger's Cage for a different kind of graveyard hate. 1 Abrupt Decay for a catch-all removal spell for mana MV3 or less, which most of our hate spells against us are going to be. Stuff like Damping Sphere, stuff like that. 2 Reckoner Bankbusters for the grinding matchups. 2 Hearses for a little bit more graveyard hate in conjunction with our Lantern and our Cage. 2 Path of Peril for aggro and an Emrakul. Kind of just sweet to have it in your sideboard. I'm assuming it's primarily for something like control or something like that, where you kind of want to have an alternative way to win the game. So I think that's actually a pretty awesome way to approach that matchup. That is our Ggary or Junscape ship list. Let me know down in the comment section which one of these decks is your favorite. The links for all these decks are in the description. And let's get into the next list. So next is a deck that I'm kind of still up for grabs on trying to figure out how this deck is supposed to function. I do get this deck is supposed to use the Arid Archways to be able to semi-combo in conjunction with Splunking. The Blast Pool Mimics, I'm assuming, are just your extra lands that can become the copies of Aftermath Analyst or Risen Reef, depending on how you want to approach it. But I'm not really sure what the combo is in this deck. We do have like grindy potential with 2 Storm the Festivals, and Jace kind of helped mill them out. We have 4 of the Deserts to target, player mill 4, sacking it. So I am curious to see how this deck actually functions. If you have any idea of the actual combo itself in this deck, if there is one, let me know down in the comment section. This is a Yorion deck, so keep that in mind. So the Rivulets, like I said, there's 4 of them. We have 1 Nykthos down here, 3 Hedge Mines, Mazes, so you can Surveil. And we have a Cascade with a 1 Lotus Field. So I'm assuming something has to be a combo with Archway or a Lotus Field in this deck. But we don't really have a way to Scape Shift for them. So I'm assuming it has to be more for our the Arid Archways. Sideboard, we do have 4 Pick Your Poisons, just like one of the best sideboard cards right now. Hates on, like I said, Vein Ripper, which is the most important, which is the best deck in the format. We have 2 Drakes for the mono red matchup, so like anything with Slick Shot, Show Off this is pretty good. Blocks for days. 2 Ashiok for Search Hate and Graveyard Hate. 4 Mystical Disputes for the control matchups. 2 Balos for Liliana decks. Discard decks like Waste Not. Also is pretty good against aggro. That is our Simic Aftermath Analyst deck for Pioneer. Let's get into the last list. Last on my list is a Naya deck. It is featuring the new Get Red. That basically you're trying to make infinite tokens. You can't really make infinite tokens in the deck. Unless I guess there's something with Jaxus maybe with this. But for the most part, you are trying to just kind of stomp face. The Huntsman Redemption does help you find it. Also, you have Salvager. So that when you've done ETBs, you can make infinite copies or a decent amount of 3/3s. Roxanne's another way of making whenever it attacks, it makes a quote-unquote artifact token called Meteorite. And you can make a copy of that. So that's pretty sweet. We have Magda, which helps us turn our treasures into 4/4s. Bonecrusher Giant, because it's just a really good 3-drop. It's not as well positioned in the meta because 2 toughness things are not as critical as it used to be, but it's still a really good card. Don't let someone tell you or put you down the wrong direction that's not good anymore, but it still is good. 4 and 4 on the Else is because it helps you ramp into your 3-drops very early. We have 1 Fleetfoot Dancer to help get with our Huntsman's Redemption. So if you wanted a 4/4 trample lifelink haster. We have 2 Nihiris because it makes tokens on the -0. And plus helps you loot away cards that you don't necessarily want. We have a single Thrill Seeker to get with our Huntsman's Redemption. Torch the Tower is our choice of removal, plus 4 Chain of the Rocks. Sideboard, we do have 3 Pick Your Poisons for the Vein Ripper matchup, and plus artifacts and enchantment hate. Enchantment hate with Get Lost, targeted. We have 2 Volleys for white and blue base strategies, 2 Lizards for Phoenix and Lotus Field. We have 2 Hearses for Phoenix, 2 Verocidons for the Amalia matchup, a Throwback because it's just kind of a catch-all good card we can grab with Huntsman's Redemption that gets enchantments, artifacts, gains life against aggro, and also hates on Graveyard against something like Phoenix. So that's kind of just like a really good card to have for Swiss Army Knife. Redain hates on the backside Rakdos Sacrifice. Front side, it hates on Lotus Field. Decks that depend on in Wraths. So keep that in mind. It helps against like pushing off Supreme Verdict. Make it cost 6. So, and that could be just enough time to win the game with this deck. So that is the last deck we had to talk about, which is Naya Get Red. So Get Red. So let me know down in the comment section which of these decks was your favorite. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification before you head out that door. And until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.